What do we do when the driver is absolutely not working at all? It's going all over the place. Maybe you're playing the first round with a new playing partner, a coworker, somebody that you want to impress, maybe your boss, and you show up to the range that day, the driver is absolutely going everywhere. You're hooking it, you're slicing it, you're hitting it thin, you're hitting it, popping it up, doing all kinds of crazy stuff with the driver that you normally don't do, and you're really worried about it. Maybe you're about to tee off in your club championship or a local tournament, and this is happening to you. It's really kind of freaks you out. You're kind of worried and you're thinking, oh man, this is going to be a terrible day. Well, I'm going to give you 4 surefire tips. When you're having that bad day with the driver, you follow these, you're going to get right back on track. Let's go and get started. All right, so tip number 1, we want to choke up on this driver. So if we're having trouble with this and we're really having the ball go a lot of different ways, one of the easiest ways to do this is to choke up. Now I recommend taking your hand and the bottom of your pinky should be about 2 inches or so from the bottom of the grip. That's a good amount to choke up. If we go way choked up like this, we're almost down on the shaft itself, off the grip, then we're gonna lose so much speed, it's gonna be tough to get any kind of distance. So I wanna choke up just a little bit to get more control of the head and to be able to feel the driver face a little bit better. But the downside of this is it is gonna hurt our distance a little bit. So let's go ahead and hit one here with my flight scope, and we'll see what the distance is choking up on the driver, and then I'll hit another one full speed and see what happens there. So here's the choked up driver. Let's see how far this one goes. There we go, right down the left side of the fairway. I hit that one really solid, so I think my numbers are gonna be pretty good, but we'll notice my club head speed is probably a little bit down. So if I take a look at my flight scope, we're gonna see my club head speed was 114. I mean, I absolutely killed that thing though, hit it dead solid, 282 carry, after the rollout, 313 total distance. So it's not like I'm losing a ton, but I am gonna lose, let's say 2 or 3 miles an hour of club head speed by choking up on the grip a couple inches there. But this does, the reason this works is when I choke up, I'm essentially getting the club head closer to my hands, and now I have more control of the club head. It's like swinging a children's club. You have this little short club that feels really easy to swing. You're probably not ever gonna miss the fairway using a junior club. You're just not gonna hit it as far as you do your normal driver. So that's the first tip, choke up on this. Now the second tip, I wanna make sure, again, I can feel the club head. I can feel the face of this club. When the driver isn't working, about 85% of the direction that ball starts is dictated by the face. So if that ball starts way to the right or way to the left, that's because the face is open and closed. So the better we can feel this face, the easier the day is gonna be. Now a great trick to help you feel the face when the things are off, when your timing's off, is to flip that club upside down and make about 4 or 5 practice swings, keeping your hands really light, trying to feel the grip end of the club. So I'm holding it at the very end of the shaft with the grip pointing down, and I'm making 4 or 5 little practice swings here. And what this is doing, this shaft is so much lighter than the club head. When I flip this back over, now I'm really gonna be able to feel where the club head is. The last thing you wanna do is grab 2 or 3 clubs. Sometimes I'll see people grab 2 or 3 irons, hold them all together and swing those to loosen up. Because that's so heavy, when I have 2 or 3 clubs in my hand, I'm gonna lose feeling for where the driver face is, and that's gonna make the club go, or the ball go all over the place. So 4 or 5 swings, just a few swings to get loose, to really feel light with your grip, and then turn that club over, and I want you to do a couple things for me. Number 1, we're gonna release that face a little bit more. So I want you to make 3 or 4 practice swings, releasing the face, getting those hands to turn over a little bit more. That would be your draw swing. Now I can start to feel that face turning over, and then I'm gonna have 2 or 3 swings where I feel the face a little bit more open, which would be my fade swing. So again, you're not having to hit shots here, you're just getting a feel for the face, getting a feel for releasing the club a little bit more. If you're struggling slicing it too much, that's what you're gonna wanna feel. If you're struggling hooking the ball, you're gonna feel having the face a little bit more open. Now let's go ahead and hit one with my normal swing speed, and let's see how much distance we gain or lose, or my normal length of my grip here. So the first one, I swung, I believe 113 or so, and I hit it so solid, it went 313. Let's see if I can get a little bit more swing speed now with my club all the way on the end here, and see how that affects how far this ball goes. All right, there we go. So that one, again, down the middle of the fairway, but I didn't hit that one quite as solid as the one that I choked up. I'm not loose out here today yet either. This is the first video of the day, So I'm not always going to be hitting the driver dead solid right off the bat, just like everybody else. So on that one, I had 3 miles an hour extra clubhead speed, but you'll see 276 carry, about 7 yards shorter than the one that I actually swung slower and I choked up on the club, and 295, so 15, actually a little bit more, a little bit closer to 18 yards shorter on that one, even though my clubhead speed was higher. So if you're having a tough time hitting it solid and controlling where the ball goes, just choke up on that a little bit. Now the next thing we're going to do here to really get a feel for this is the step drill. So what I want you to feel, when I'm struggling to hit the ball solid, usually my weight shift is off. Sometimes I'll be falling back, falling away from the golf ball. You start to get those tops, you start to get the balls that go up in the air, a lot of inconsistencies with that. And sometimes I really just feel awkward, like I'm having to use all hands and arms because my weight shift isn't good. So let's do a surefire drill. It's gonna make this really, really easy. I want you to set up with your feet together. I'm gonna have the club kind of hovering over the ground. Now, as soon as I start my club swinging back, I'm gonna go ahead and start stepping forward. What this is gonna ensure that I do is, as my left foot is in the air, so let's go ahead and do one little small swing so you can see what this looks like. But as my left foot is in the air, that ensures that all my weight is on my right side. That's the backswing. As I'm making this backswing, I have to shift my weight to the right side, and as I make my downswing, I have to shift my weight to the left side. There's tons of research out there showing pressure plates, so they have these plates that they put under your feet to see how people shift their weight. I have never seen one great player that doesn't shift their weight to the right on the backswing and shift their weight to the left on the downswing. Lots of people say, oh, I feel like I'm centered, staying on my left, or they're keeping their weight left the entire time. When you put this to the test, when you look at the science behind this, that's simply not happened. Every player has a weight shift to the right and a weight shift to the left. If I cheat it by doing this drill, it makes it way easier. So as I keep my feet together, as soon as my left foot lifts up, my right foot is the only foot on the ground, so it has to be a weight shift to the right. There has to be all my pressure to the right. Now, as I step forward, the only way to get my foot to move forward is to have a weight shift to the left. And then as I let my foot push into the ground on the downswing, I'm gonna let my right foot come all the way up on the ground here. So just my toe of my right foot is on the ground. That ensures that all my weight is on my left. So if you do this drill, there's really no way to mess this up. As long as we get the timing right, it's just a surefire way to get your weight shift nailed every time. So start with your feet together. The key trick here is, as soon as you start your backswing, that's when you want to begin this step forward. What I don't want to do is get all the way to the top of my backswing and then step forward on my downswing. I'm stepping forward as soon as I start my swing, and then as I finish, I'm making sure my toe is all the way on the ground and my chest is rotated all the way around. I'm finishing over my left foot and really pausing there for a second or two so that you can make sure that you're in balance. Do 4 or 5 of those while you're on the range. While you're on the first tee, I guarantee you it's going to be way easier to hit straighter shots. Now finally here, the last key is, what is your go-to shot? Everybody has one type of shot, whether it's a fade or a draw, that they can hit time after time. Now for me, if I have to get one in the fairway, it's a little easier for me to do a fade. The problem is I lose a little bit of distance when I'm doing that, but if I'm hitting the ball pretty wild and it's the first couple holes, I want to make sure I get some in the fairway, I'm going to tee that ball up a little bit lower. What that's going to do, it's going to ensure that I don't hook it. It's very tough for me to hook the ball when the ball is teed up really low. So I'm going to tee it up a little bit lower. If this is my normal height, I'm just going to go about a ½ inch lower than normal. And then I feel like I'm going to hit a fade out there. So let's put all 3 together. Number 1, I'm going to choke up. I've done my drills where I swing the club head nice and light. I got a feel for the face. For me, again, I'm done my step drills to feel my weight shift. And now I'm going to play my go-to shot, or if I had to bet $1,000, what would I be willing to say, hey, I'm going to be able to hit this one pretty good. I'll bet you $1,000 I can do this. That's my go-to shot. So this one's going to be a fade. I'm going to lose a little bit of distance, but I'm going to find that first fairway. All right, right down the right center. I hit that one nice. Follow those 4 steps. You're going to get started with some more confidence, and you're going to hit a lot more fairways. What if we don't want to save our swing for the day? What if we don't want to put a Band-Aid on it because we're not feeling well and we're trying to save it and get a ball on the fairway? That's great. It's good to have a go-to plan for when things aren't working out, because we're always going to have those days. But what if I want to step up to the first tee feeling confident after I've just ripped 10, 15 drives on the range that would be right down the middle of the fairway and I feel like $1,000,000? That's what we really want to do. Well, we have to have the proper technique to do this. One of the most common things that I see is players starting down where they're really steep starting their downswing. This club shaft gets steep and all of a sudden I have to reroute and manipulate this club to make solid contact and keep the club from slamming down in the ground or hitting a big slice or just being inconsistent. Those manipulations make it tough to be very, very good driving the golf ball day in and day out. Well, I have a great bonus video for you where I talk about how to properly shallow out this club in what I call the move. All great players are doing it. If you watch the PGA Tour, basically every single player there is shallowing out the club in the early transition, in the early downswing. That gets them in the slot to where they can really be consistent day in and day out, which we all want to do. I'm going to play a preview of that great video from the move here in 1 second. All you need to do is click the card that pops up on your screen or the link down below in the description. You'll get instant access to that. You're going to have a lot more fun driving the golf ball. Let's go ahead and get started building that great technique with the move. Player problems. We're going to talk about shallowing that club shaft out as we're starting down, as we're doing this rotating of the face that we worked on in the last video. As we start this downswing, what you'll see with basically all of the top players is instead of coming kind of over the top and letting the hands come out away from their body, letting the club come out away from their body, again coming down steep into the ball and then having to open up, kind of fillet open the face and add loft to it. The flattening of the shaft should happen as soon as we start down. So as we start this downswing, what we want to have happening here, you can imagine that if I draw a line from the hosel of my club up through my right elbow, that's my swing plane line, my elbow plane. As I go to the top of the swing, I'm going to be slightly above that. And then as I start down, I want my hands to start to shallow out. I want the club to shallow out inside of this elbow plane. And at the same time,